not talking about our money,
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
okay?
Yeah.
I'm looking at a broad
Yeah.
picture,
Yeah.
okay? Just to let you know.
No, I think that makes sense, and we have to be a comprehensive.
Yeah, I expect this is gonna be a 2-year conversation minimum.
Yeah, okay.
So just a couple of things. I agree with you about the audit, because I always go back to the school. And before we move forward with anything about looking at a new school building, we had all of our buildings audited so that we could see what we actually need, how much it would cost, and we would end up with a list. I don't know how that works with municipal buildings, but anyway, it was really helpful for us. So that's one thing. And I think it's a great idea to start talking about that now, because there may be people that want bigger and better and all that, but there's also gonna be people that are like, this is fine, we don't need all of this. But I think it's important to really focus on the why. Why do we need a new fire station? Why do we need a new town office building? Because people might think, oh, they just wanna do it because it would be nice, and it would be wonderful.
Yeah,
But the why, to me, is really the most important thing, that to convince people, because people are gonna have to be the ones voting for it in the end,
Right.
correct? So in order to convince them that it's something that we need, they need to know why. Why are we even talking about it?
It's a great point.
it is, very good point. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, the next item, Wendy, I'm not sure that we actually need to do this one. This is regarding payroll time. I think we already made a motion to move the time for payroll to be in to noon on Fridays instead of 5 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. Right. So the last select board meeting, we talked about some requests to the ordinance review committee for a number of topics. One of them was solar. And we talked about the height of systems being a little bit low in terms of recommendations from solar installers and costs associated with that. John reached out after that meeting. John Harper reached out to us after that meeting and basically wanted to set the record straight for his installation, but also came with some recommendations about welcome back. With some recommendations about his thoughts about solar, some of the requirements for solar. So John, I'll give you the floor for 3 minutes.
Well, I don't need 3 minutes, but I got on the other day just to listen to the last select board meeting. I really couldn't hear very well, the acoustics and everything. So I wasn't sure what was being said about our solar array. And then we were talking about ordinances and permits, and so I thought, all right, that's why I reached out to Carl, because I thought maybe somebody thought, something was wrong with ours. And Carl reassured me that wasn't the case, so we're all fine, I sent him the email and just to let him know that, we did have ours put in 2019, and the ordinance was in 2022, and we had applied and got our town permit and told them the permit number and so forth for the installation. That all went really well with that CPO back. And we do comply with all the town lines of that in 2019. And just to let you know, ours is 10 feet high. The two arrays are just 10 feet, a couple inches higher. But I do agree, now that I understand what's going on with the ordinance, that it should be relooked at, because we had the opportunity to go higher and add, 4 layers up and then shorten it so we didn't take as much ground space.
Yeah.
And get above some trees that are in front of it. So I think it all comes down to sites and needs. It needs a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
So that's it, Carl. Yeah, and thanks a lot for letting me do that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And next time I'll try to listen better.
No, that was me, and because I knew you had your solar before the ordinance went in, and yours is very reasonable, and that's why I brought yours up as a prime example of, if you want to have solar, this is a prime example of how to do it.
Well, I appreciate that, yeah, I couldn't quite catch that. And the other thing, the other problem is keeping it out of sight, you know, it's hard to do that with small properties. Unless you could buy big trees and spend thousands of dollars to walk across the roadway, so that's gonna be dealt with a little bit too. No one really has it. It's functioning very well. But, thanks a lot.
Sure.
Oh, and one other thing, I do have some interest in talking about the school. I gave you a sheet there. Well,
Okay, I know Tyler wanted to talk about a preliminary snapshot of the school budget. If you're prepared to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
I'm
maybe
not
this
prepared to
fits-
talk about
these
social
two
media.
things fit together.
So school budget committee met, I sat in on the meeting. Leslie Marco is the town rep this year, took my seat on the budget committee. And they're looking at a baseline increase. They make no changes to the budget at a 4% increase. That's what their starting number is. They're looking at a cap with no cuts, no position changes at 5.5%. So, and I think they're ready to defend that number, because they're looking for facilities investments coming in the next couple of years, because the district maintains its facilities well, but they're aging facilities and they need to do some deferred maintenance. It's been deferred over the last 20 years since the last one. And so they're looking to make those investments in roofs and other necessary repairs, while continuing to look at consolidation. 5.5 is their starting number. I think their target is definitely be below that, and they're working hard.
Okay, I think we'll hold yours to the end. if you
Yeah.
don't mind. The next item is something I think we should just bypass because I don't have, basically our new CEO has suggested some new permit documents and, but I haven't gotten, I think, the primary one yet. So just want to put everybody on alert that we're like, that there's going to be a new proposal for a permit document, and then we need to decide whether that's what we want to use versus what we already have. And since we're going with KV-COG, they are actually, the use of the permit is going to be relatively short term, as I understand it, because KV-COG has an electronic system that they're going to migrate everything to sometime in the not too distant future, whatever that means. So they're suggesting sometime in January that they're going to migrate to that, and as much of the permitting system will use that new system. So I would like to have more discussion with Jeff Drew and Jesse Sire at KV-COG about the permit documents. But at the time we made this, I thought we might have something in hand. Next up is that we've been receiving a lot of spam mail, and I would like to recommend that we provide an official email account to the community center, to the fire department, to the library, so that we know that we're dealing with certain entities as opposed to having to figure that out, spend more time having to figure that out. We do use anti-spam software. It doesn't catch everything. I think that giving town emails to each of those three entities would be a step in the right direction. They cost on the order of $6 per entity per month. And I think that's a price that's well worth it. And so I would like to have someone make a motion that we approve getting official MT-Vernon-ME.org accounts for those three entities.
I move that we go to town accounts for library, community center, fire department, using town accounts.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? 5?
Yes, Bob.
Okay,
Yeah. It's not,
yeah, okay.
we'll sign it.
Along the same lines, I want to modify our policy that anytime anybody makes a request for a change to their information, that we go back and verify verbally with that person that wants to make the change before we make a change. i.e., we have to make sure that changes are being made appropriately. So, or whatever, I haven't done the research to see which specific policies we need to update, but I really do think we need to, at least in the security policy, modify so that we require any changes, any changes made, any changes being requested are verified by direct communication with that person. Not email, but phone call, or in person.
Definitely personnel policy, but I almost write a separate changes to personally identifiable information.
So understand, explain to me why it would be in person or over the phone and not here.
Changes to their payroll or is
Do anything, yeah.
Anything.
Address, anyway. It's standard information security practice to multi-factor that. So if the request comes in email, you call and verify.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Now I understand.
So,
Do you want to do the policy work, come back next week?
yeah, we can do that, but I just want to make sure this is something we address sooner than later.
Yeah, I'll go through the policies and I'll identify if anybody catches anything else, I'll send an email out.
Okay.
And then you make the adjustments.
So we'll go back up to the top of the list, and now that you're here, and talk about social media.
So we're supposed to have everything printed off, but as you can see, that didn't happen. So I sent around an email with draft procedures. Did you get a chance to look at that? I did not send it. I thought I sent it.
I don't think so.
I sent it around as a dog. Okay. Anyways, I have it on my phone, so I can share it. All right. Basically, it outlines kind of how we would use social media on a specific, and I'll just pass my phone down real quick. If we were to go with that, the policies are still functionally the same that I presented the last couple of times. And I don't have printed copies with me tonight. But I'll have those up on, if we move to adopt the policy that we've worked on, I can put copies up tonight. But basically, as we kind of went over in our working session, the goal, if we move in the direction that I'm proposing, it would be to adopt the town social media as an additional avenue of communication. We have the notification system coming online. We have the town website as our primary source of information, and the website will always link back to that. But having that other stream for people that are just going about their day, they see the post, they know what's happening in town. You know, we had it again this weekend where Megan posted out pretty pointed information that don't leave stuff outside of the swap and shop shed. You know, it's winter time, it's gonna get covered in snow. That went out on Facebook, no issues, people were understanding. You know, so having that on the website, having that out on Facebook, and then once we have the notification system fully up and running, it's that third layer of just passive communication that's out there where people can see it. And I have pretty strict guidelines that kind of outline what's posted, how it's monitored, how it's evaluated, and how we address with any concerns that arise from this process. And that would be that one of the designated administrators would take a screenshot of any issue, send it to the board, and then we would fully review that issue if there's something to address there. You know, if it's spam or whatever, there's ways within Facebook to address it there. That doesn't need to come to the board. But if somebody's raising a legitimate question and it's something we feel we need to address, there's avenues to bring that to the full board going forward. So I would move to adopt the social media use policy and the social media policy for elected officials as presented.
I must admit that coming around to the webpage version of the policy, but it also combines the public official use piece that had some First Amendment concerns.
So, and I heard that, and that's what, when I went back and made adjustments to that policy, basically what it outlines 3 categories of use. There's regular everyday use. We're not controlling it, no control whatsoever. There is that 3rd category where you're talking about town issues. And the only thing that I put in that policy is you just need to disclose that your opinions don't represent the town, because that protects you and it protects the town. And then the 3rd is, and it's guidelines. It's not really you can't do it, but it's don't defame elected officials in town and don't undermine governance. You know, you're free to disagree with what the town, so we had the solar was back on again, and I had disagreements. You could still voice your disagreements, but if the town voted to approve it, you wouldn't turn around and undermine the policy or undermine the action that was taken. And that's guidance from MMA, that they
For
recommend
school boards.
MMA for select boards.
Yeah.
And again, it's,
Which on December 10th, Tyler sent us that. He sent us what he's worked on, and he also sent us a list of
profane words.
profane words, yeah. for
I uploaded-
lack of a better-
I uploaded 550 profane words
That would
into
be
the.
I
filtered.
thought there were 560.
Well, you can upload up to 1,000. I put 550, and then if we catch other things as we go, you just type in the word that is offensive, and Facebook takes it from there.
So if you go to the December 10th, you can see what he's talking about right now.
So, and this,
I think it all makes sense and very close. The one piece that I'm worried, so let's just say, and again, and I'm not on social media, but let's just say, I come out and say, we need town manager. Here's one of the reasons why we need town manager, blah, blah, blah. But I don't say that this is my position, not the board's position. Am I in trouble under this policy?
I mean, I get. Under the first policy, no, under the elected officials, you may run afoul, but again, it would just be say, if it was a first time, it'd be like, next time, just put these are my opinions as Dan Shea, private individual. And you can say that, yes, I'm an elected official because of my observations as an elected official. I now believe this, but until the town had adopted it, you would want to steer clear, regardless if this policy was in place, that's guidance from MMA. Regardless if you have a policy or not. That's best practice. It's what it does is it protects the town from being sued, but it also protects you. If you go out representing the town, you're putting yourself at liability.
Yeah, you can't get in trouble for voicing your opinions on issues. There's just no way that can happen.
No, but if you write it in such a way that it commits the town to doing something,
Yeah.
you can run afoul.
That's it.
And that's why that disclaimer, it's a CYA. It just protects everybody. And it's a short disclaimer, it just says my visa.
It's just odd because, public officials across the country, every state legislator, every House member, and every president writes whatever he wants or she wants on social media. without those sorts of restrictions. But down at the town level, again, I'm not really concerned, because I'm not gonna, personally, I'm not gonna do it, but, policies last beyond.
Yeah, but again, I think personally, I think it's best practice, when I was on the school board, and I used social media pretty heavily when I was on the school board to communicate what the school was doing. I wouldn't comment on what was going on. I would just share the post or say, hey, we're having this meeting. I think I talked a little bit about consolidation, but you just make it clear that these are your opinions and you're trying to gauge feedback from other people. That's kind of the intent when you post your opinions out, is you're trying to gauge that feedback on your personal side. On a town page, it's different. But if you're trying to get that feedback, just make it clear that your opinions, because it covers you, it covers you. Because even if it's a slap suit, you're covered. You're covered there and you're covered.
Well, I'm gonna vote for your policy, but on the video record, I don't think it would be enforceable. I don't think it would be, if anybody pressed this 10 years from now, saying, you can't sanction me because I said this, I think they'd win a legal case on that. But I'm not going beyond that. That's the last thing I'll say on it. I don't think the town can stop people from talking about policies as they see fit. Now, it might be best practice, it might be MMA's suggestion, I don't think it's legal. But I don't really care, because, I'm not gonna do it myself. I'm done. Thank you for all your work on this. We pushed it hard. And the reason why I'll support it is because, to be honest, I'm increasingly worried about the cost of a dramatic website revamp. Push me over if people care. You start talking $5,000 and $10,000 to revise the website. That got my attention. And at the same time, I do know that we need to have better communication. So those two things have stood me over to this.
Two things, we'll get to you in just a minute. Two things.
Yeah.
My understanding is that we are doing this for a 6-month period.
Yeah.
And at the end of that 6 months, we'll decide.
We'll get a report from there's a couple of motions. The goal is to create a communications committee and they'll evaluate it and give a report back to us.
Okay, you might want to talk about the communication.
Yep, I have a sequence.
Okay.
It's get the policy work and then we can get into the next series.
The other thing is that in all cases, any content is posted to the website first.
Yep, and it's in both the procedure document and in the policy. Let me pull up that document.
Yeah, are we done on the board talking? Tom?
This is just a curious question. All these comments that go to Facebook to the town.
Yep.
Is the public gonna be able to see all these?
I mean, if they post words that fall in the filter, they'll be hidden. But again, we're using a generic profanity filter. Other than that, it's public.
I'm not really talking about the family.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's gonna be.
Send you, is the whole town gonna be able to read the comments?
Yeah.
So going along with that, I just want to say, if Dan did put something up on the Facebook account, or any one of you did, like that, and then there's somebody in town that is absolutely against, whether it's town manager, whatever, and that person writes, you are nothing but a, and then it becomes a personal attack on Dan or on whoever. That's my concern, because then that starts getting into someone, everyone else can read it and go, oh, this person thinks that, well, I'm gonna say this about this, and I'm gonna, so who monitors that?
They're gonna separate, there's two types of accounts here. There's the official town account that's blasting information out. That's anonymous. That's whoever, it says who posted is the town of Mount Vernon. The second category where Dan's concern comes from, I, Tyler Dunn, go on my personal Facebook and start talking about town issues.
Right, but I think, Dan, did you mean if you went on the town Facebook page and said what you just said?
No, I was I was thinking Tyler's version. So if Tyler, if he goes on the webpage and starts talking about policy. You know,
Right,
we
the
need a new
website.
fire hall, I'll tell you why, just, you know, the truck slammed into it, blah, blah, blah. And doesn't say that this is my opinion, not the town opinion, then according to these rules, there could be a little bit of blowback.
Again,
And,
Which
you know,
is-
I think, and I'm just concerned for you guys.
yeah, no, and
I'm
what,
just worried that, because I know what can happen with Facebook, and you all know that I'm against it, and against having the town have one, but I just think that it opens up an opportunity for people to just slam everything they don't.
so
like
what
on
I
each one.
think where the distinction comes in is when you're using your own account, because in the policy is written, it is really not an avenue to discuss opinions on the official page.
But you still can.
Not in the
If I wanted to go on the official page, can I make a comment?
You can make a comment
So I can say anything I want, right?
Through your account.
through your account, but the thing is
It
that,
shows up on that account.
And it's shared, that's the problem, because he wrote something nasty about the town, then the sharing.
That's exactly right.
but if people have that opinion, they're gonna do it regardless, because they do it now.
Right.
We don't have it,
Right.
and it's happening.
Right.
And what I think leads to some of that is, there's people that they go on, they don't see anything, they blab, you know, and they blab. I think by having this and having that official town, well, say, town office is closed for this reason.
No, I think that's important.
You know, that, it's that kind of content that it's its primary focus. If we got into, say, discussing the fire station or a town manager, or some of these more complex issues, you know what? There's a different way, there's different avenues to do that, and I wouldn't use social media for that. And the policy really doesn't put an avenue to do that, and it doesn't really allow it under the policy. You know, that's what public forums are for, that's what town meeting is for, that's what these meetings are for. So, and again, if you go back into that second policy for personal accounts, it makes it clear that these are your opinions and you don't represent the town to kind of prevent that. And that's all what it does, is it insulates the town a little bit, protects people's free speech to be able to comment on town issues. But still allow that information to get out in another avenue where people are.
I trust you.
Okay.
John?
I think, right about Article 38, it's a good situation where you did it when you were on board, because you had your own personal Facebook page. And so I was expecting you to tell us how you feel about different things and to get feedback from us. And, you know, you chose just to put out things that are happening and stuff, but that's the way it works great from my perspective. Each one, you have your own Facebook page and give us your opinions on things. And here's where you can't do that kind of a thing as well. That you have the interaction with your individual constituent. So I think that was a great thing you did to get on, and I knew to go right to your page and then see what was going on with you. The RC 38 had their page. Their thing was primarily announcements, things that are going on, changes, and the public could. I went on a number of times and gave them my opinion, or, you know, call to arms or whatever, and it was fine. I don't think there was any problem with that.
I mean, I'll use when everything went down this summer. Yeah, there was a group. They came to those meetings. They voiced their opinion. Did it get a little heated? Yes. But I think it was more symptomatic of a deep frustration that had been brewing under the district that came to a head and changes were made. But I mean, I don't think, regardless of social media, that situation was gonna happen whether or not social media was present there. And again, the school, to my knowledge, and I haven't been to all the meetings, but the school board hasn't wanted to pull theirs back or make a change. And plug them right along with it.
Plus, you have to be a member of Facebook to see it. So to answer Tom's question, will the whole town see it? No, my husband will not see it, because he's not on Facebook, and he still has a flip phone, so, I mean, just to let you
You
know.
won't see it either.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I'll go
That's
I want to see the comments.
Sometimes they're fun, you know, sometimes you get some real gems in there.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We shouldn't have had the discussion, I guess, but,
Wait,
No, he hasn't.
yeah, I did.
yeah. we
You did?
Yeah, I moved to adopt policy.
Did you?
Adopt policy.
Okay, vote.
I'm gonna abstain.
Ready for the next series of them?
Four, 4-0. and one
This is for 6
abstention.
months, right?
Or-
No, that's just
or-
policy.
or-
Okay, I gotta go.
4-0, abstain.
Bob.
Bob,
I gotta find motions. Here we go. Second motion, I move that the town authorize the creation of an official Town of Mount Vernon YouTube page, that all Zoom meeting recordings be posted to this page going forward, and that the archive of existing Zoom recordings be uploaded no later than the end of the current fiscal year.
yes. It's the one I want.
You wanna text that to me?
Yeah, I have a whole page document, so I'll send it all.
Yes.
Any problem with that?
Second.
Vote.
This one was YouTube, right?
YouTube.
I just need
The establishment of
like
YouTube.
light notes, and then I'll-
Yeah.
So all the recordings will be on there.
I move for a period of 6 months that the town of Mount Vernon establish a Facebook page with the following individuals designated as administrators, all select board members, myself serving as the primary point of contact, Remington French, town administrative assistant, Heather Wheeler, town clerk or her designee, Megan Goucher, manager of the transfer station or her designee. I move that the town of Mount Vernon adopt the procedures document that I emailed out to govern the use of the town Facebook page.
The town of what?
It's the procedures that I just outlined.
Second.
This one
So
I'll,
I'll abstain from this one as well, because I'm designating the motion.
3-2 abstain.
three,
Voted for. and
three,
two.
2 abstain. Because this is the policy that regulates.
No, this is, the two policies were up front. I lumped the two policies at the beginning. This was the procedures
Okay.
for use of Facebook.
All right, I'm good with that.
4 and 1 abstain.
No, I'm gonna, I was wrong, I know what this is. I'm gonna go yes.
And Bob was the second,
I move that the town of Mount Vernon authorize the Mount Vernon Library, Fire Department, and Community Center to continue using their existing social media accounts, provided that such use complies with the policies adopted by the town and applicable state laws. The designees and administrators shall be as follows: Fire Department, Jason Beckler or his designee; Community Center, Board Chair Sherry Wenzel or a designee chosen by the Community Center Board; Library, Head Librarian Alice Olson or her designee.
Second.
I have a question. So their usage would be consistent with the town's
Policy. Yep.
All right, vote. 5-0.
You gonna explain that to him?
Yeah, I'll send the policy around.
If
It's
they
ba-
already have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
They
this
already
just
have it.
means, yeah, there's nothing, they're already in compliance. This is just saying that they are now, everybody's subject to.
factual updates.
Yeah. I move that the town authorize the town clerk to coordinate with administrators of town social media accounts to ensure that all social media content is properly archived in accordance with adopted social media policies and state record keeping requirements.
Second.
Vote. I'm gonna hold on, abstain on this. So it was 3-0.
I voted yes.
Okay,
Four.
4-1
4-1 abstention.
abstention.
Next one.
I think, my concern is that,
I would have liked to hear this before my vote.
No, all this, so the archiving is all automatic in Facebook. You just
Okay.
download the archive. This
Okay.
just means that if there's ever a FOIA on it, that Heather knows who the designee, or the town clerk knows who the designees are and can pull the archive. That's what that's for.
I do have a question about the designee,
For
since you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Can it be, how do you establish a designee?
So Heather is the town clerk. If she doesn't have Facebook, but Megan does, she can designate Megan.
Kelly?
Is it just
Kelly, sorry.
sort of a loosey-goosey post it for me, or is it more official?
They're designating this person as who is going to post on behalf of my department.
So
And
we should
will
at
we be
least-
told?
We should
Yes.
at least tell each of these people that they've got to be careful on. who
Yeah,
you're-
they're gonna have the policy.
Okay.
All right. Number 7, I move that the town require the transfer station and town clerk's office to discontinue use of personal Facebook accounts for posting official announcements, such as closures or schedule changes, and that such information instead be posted to the official Town of Mount Vernon Facebook page and website, then shared from personal accounts as appropriate.
Second.
Okay, I'm concerned about this one because I don't see how they get to the website first.
So all of those closures have to go to us first. So we would make the website adjustment in tandem as they make, because all of our announcements go on the main page, so the link back to the website is the master link. So,
That's not being done now, so there are some procedures that need to be put
Yep.
in place.
and we'll get those out. Finally, I move that the town of Mount
We
Vernon,
didn't vote on that.
oh, sorry.
Oh. I second.
Okay,
Wait, there's a second, but there's a vote.
All right, the final one. I move to establish a standing communications committee to provide advisory oversight on the town's communication practices, including management of the website, all social media accounts, and public information dissemination, and the newsletter. The committee shall evaluate the effectiveness of the town's communication strategies and social media engagement, and shall submit a written report to the select board on a quarterly basis, as well as an annual summary for inclusion in the town report. The first order of business for this committee is to report on the establishment, the effectiveness of the newly established social media accounts and policies adopted, as well as provide oversight on the website.
Second.
all right, just a comment here. I talked about a website committee earlier. That would be folded into
Yeah,
the communications.
That's kind
committee.
of how I view it, because it's all kind of tied together. You know,
Okay, that's
if,
fine. Somebody's,
Here's what I would suggest on this one. This is a pretty important committee. And I think it entails a little bit more discussion than just a second in the vote. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but like, who are the members, how many members?
I'm
You
getting
know,
there.
well, it's just, some of these things we should talk about a little. And this committee strikes me as important.
So, last week I sent out kind of a draft of what this would look like in practice, and I can go through that. So we've established, assuming we establish committee, it'd be, and I can go through and motion it a different way. That goes through all of this, if you want me to adjust the motion. So it'd be a standing communications committee of 7 voting members. At least 1 member under the age of 30, at least 1 member over the age of 60, and at least 1 member from the select board. And then from there, people with diverse backgrounds to fill in the remaining 4 seats. 2, oversee the establishment of the new social media policies, evaluate the existing social media accounts, review and assess recommendations, improvements to the town newsletter, assist in development, revision, and ongoing enhancement of the town website, and maintain open and ongoing communication with town officials, department, and community to support transparency, accessibility, and consistent messaging. Reporting requirements would be a written annual report for the town report, just summarizing what they did, what they've noticed, trends, an annual report. And then 2, a quarterly update to us in writing, what they're seeing, what's working, what's not working, adjustments. 1 year inconsistent with our appointments policy, 1-year terms for the chair, vice chair, and secretary, and meetings would comply with Maine's Freedom of Access Act. That would take effect immediately once we adopted the policy. But I can motion it this exact way and read it.
Well, it all makes sense. The only thing I wonder about is folding that web site, homepage website committee into that. It seems like a natural fit.
It does, on the one hand, but I think that this communications committee has a fairly big charter.
Well, and I think,
to-
because I think if you
Accomplish.
separate out, because the website is kind of this big emulsive thing in the middle that ties in how we're pushing notifications out. It ties into more information coming out of the newsletter. The newsletter links back to the website in a lot of cases to discuss documents and whatnot. Social media, we want to pull people into the website. So I think if the communications, the evaluation of all communication in town goes through that website.
I think, the more I think, the more I do think it should be part of it. I'll tell you why, I'll give you a quick example. I'm not so sure that the procedures for the website first is gonna happen smoothly. You know, there's the compactor, the bulky gets full, you know, you've got to post quickly, don't bring down your, you know, full. I'm not sure it's gonna wind up on the website first, which if they call. But this committee could evaluate that. This committee could sort those issues out.
Right, and you know, if we come into a situation where some of those like nitty gritty, you know, closures, you know, it's more of a hassle, it's like, this is the way most people are seeing it, this is the way that's most effective, then they come to us and recommend a policy change.
Does establish the committee for that website. You don't have to wonder
And
who's
it
on
also gives them the ability, if they want to create their own subcommittees from there, or working groups.
Yeah, I would really like to see that committee have focus groups,
Yeah.
for example, so that we get a larger input into what we're doing.
Right, and like I said, that's,
And the committees will be termed, right?
yeah, 1 year,
1 year, so
1 year.
no one is permanently on there,
right,
correct?
right, we're moving away from permanent. I don't think we can do permanent appointments.
Well, okay, so the question is the term 1 year, but you can renew? or
Yeah.
That,
Right.
you
It's
have
like-
a replacement.
It's basically in line with our existing appointments policy, that everybody's up at a year, and then they can either choose to go, if they want to do another year, or we have a vacancy and we fill it.
Did he say one select board member or not more than one?
One select board member.
One.
Because, because you have it, it's a 7-person committee.
No, I know, it makes sense. But, you know, does the select board member that knows the most about, you know, online?
Well, the select board would vote who they want to
Well, I'm
represent.
just saying, the person that knows the most about online communications. Is that the person, or the person that's more like a
Whoever
more
wants it.
casual user on it? Because adds a different perspective. You know what I mean?
Well, they're seeking members with diverse age groups, backgrounds, and areas of expertise. That's what it says in the policy.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. So you wouldn't want to stack it with online experts.
No, and again, that's why I also have the carve out, is that 1 seat is reserved for somebody
Over
under.
60, what are you saying about?
I'm not
that?
saying anything, Dan. I was emphasizing 1 seat under 30, 1
Oh,
seat
that's
over,
the act, yeah, I know. what
yeah,
you're saying.
on both ends of the
I know what you're
spectrum. You know, you're at both
saying.
ends.
He's gerrymandering.
Yeah, sure. No, but and the reason that I recommend that is I think it forces a diversity of thought within that committee. You know, because I think we see it a lot that it's the same people that are involved on the same committees. And this kind of forces us to go out and find people to be, you know,
Okay.
because that's what we don't want, is it's a stacked committee of people that think one way or not.
I was just wondering if you have already talked to people or have a short list for this committee.
I have,
Because,
I haven't, but I think we were gonna post it as available.
okay, I mean, based on your description, it feels essentially critical to the function of social media in this town, and everyone just voted to enact social media, we have no committee. 0 members. So,
I'm not worried about that. It can happen pretty fast.
John?
I just want to, the thought about having one of the select people on that committee, you don't have select people on the ordinance review committee, you don't have them on the planning board. I don't think you need it, really, this committee sounds to me like it is advisory to you.
I think that's a good
I
point.
like
So I
that.
would take, I personally would take the select person off.
That's a very good point, John.
I like that.
I get that. The ordinance review is a good example that makes recommendations to the select board.
So you don't eliminate your.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate it being difficult to fill 7 seats. The only one that would be tough would be the under 30, I think, seat. I mean, I'm sure I can,
You said,
talk about them there.
Okay, so is there still a motion on the floor?
Yeah.
So
Oh, there is?
we'll fold the internet.
Yeah.
Web.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be the first subcommittee to create it. I think the big committee worked on social media, but then a subcommittee to look at the website, no problem.
so we need a second?
No.
I think I already did, right?
We need a vote.
So just a vote?
5-0.
That was-
A long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna, the first 2 on the list were folded in together as one motion, but everything else is the same.
Wake up over there.
I couldn't have even typed it.
Mike mentioned that Jason was gonna give him a email. Town email.
Yeah, Jason, just FYI, we're gonna give you an official town email that we're gonna ask you to use. In at least communications with the town officials.
So it can be like fire at
Yeah, let us know what you want.
MT Vernon. It's like ours.
I'll work with Tyler on getting it started.
Well,
And the
Scott will-
community center will have one in the library, well,
Scott will reach out to you about it.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll just. There we are.
and it will all be Mount Vernon, Maine.org. Okay.
Okay, are there any comments from people attending? John?
And, Dick.
And I would really encourage you this year to get actively involved and think about taking some positions. That's the message I have. And I have one suggestion for you about. Example is back in, I think, 2011, when the select board asked me to go on the position. Their mandate to me was cut the budget. And you needed to reason. And so that was my job, that's what I did. And I came up with $150,000 worth of cuts back then, and $125,000 got approved, which just went down to the budget to see where is this excess coming out. So the past 3 years, I've gone through and I've done some of this analysis for the board, not for the board, for me, to get some information to the board. And the undesignated balances is one of the biggest areas that I can see needing some work. And so my suggestion, I'll go over this a little bit. My problem with the RTD budget process right now is that they come in under budget every year. And they come in under budget. That's, if you look on the second page, it says RSU 38. They come in under budget every single year in the past 4 years. Since 2021, they come under budget $1.1 to $1.2 million under budget every year. And if you look to the next column there, it says unassigned balance. So what's been happening is the unassigned balance is just been basically parking it, okay? and it keeps adding and adding and adding. Last year, it got up to the max the state's allowed to do it. They had to take some of those funds and move it, or else, clients. They did, they moved it into a maintenance account, and they also put it in special ed. Great, perfect, good thing to do. They didn't have that kind of account before. But now, this year, they're gonna face the same exact problem. I've talked to, the acting superintendent, she's gonna get me these figures. They might be already with that committee, but it's, last year, there was $2.5 million in the account that they had to siphon off some of that. This year, I'm gonna guess they're gonna be at that same level. And because they've been coming in under budget every year, at least 2.5%. So last year, when we got all done giving us back some of the money to reduce our tax burden, 700,000, whatever, and they parked away these two bits of money, those two other accounts, they still ended up with $545,357 sitting there. And it is, it's just sitting. Now, the last column shows you how much they've been investing. And they only been investing about $300,000 a year. Now, I don't have the current figure, they're gonna get to that. And they've been parking in the past, the bank to get like 1% interest. So I just feel strong that it's time to say, wait a minute, you're doing this and the public doesn't know. And 2 years ago, when I first came to the board, they didn't even know they had it on the sign back. So I'm coming back to you this year and saying, please get more. Please get more involved. Listen to some of the community members that are saying, yeah, had it up here. And I knew darn well, in fact, I said that, because I knew darn well, they every year they come in at 4 or 5%. They'll start up at 8, get it down to 4%, say, yeah, you've done a great job, increase every single year, and then every single year since 2021, they come in under budget. Nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. So my suggestion is to go to them and say, you know what, this year, you're gonna take out $700 and some odd $1,000 to reduce our amount that we're gonna give you. Great, that's fine. Now, do another $500,000. Put that up there too, and reduce our burden this year. Because that 545,000 is sitting there. You already have a couple of million in there, and it's going nowhere. And if knowing that it's going to be another 5% increase, that if it is, that's another $300 out of my pocket next year. Now, I've done an investment in the past year that I put in, well, more than that. But if I had the opportunity to put that 300 where I know I put it this past year, I would have had 100% return on my investment. And I did get 100% return on my investment this past year. I didn't see it in my pocket. Let me get the benefit of investing it. And then come back next year and ask for more money if I'll have some extra money to give. Or maybe this year there's a family that can't get childcare. And they need a little extra money this year. Give it back to them so they can give their kids a free school or whatever, or some gas money, or better food. Don't hear from people like me that have the ability to invest and get money back so I can pay these extra taxes. And the same thing with folks who don't have that ability, they just need to survive in this current inflation climate. So that I've given you the data, and this is right out of the audit reports. There's plenty of extra money there. I think I know where the board's going to go. They're going to want to take that extra money and put more of it into that construction account, more into the special ed account. They've already set up these accounts separately. That's what they're gonna wanna do and keep building those up, because as they hit the state maximum, they gotta do something. I think this is the year to ask for it back.
Is that what that 300,000 is, construction account?
So,
Say it again.
That 300,000, is that a construction account?
It's,
So-
it's a, go ahead, you can say what it is.
so yeah, so last year, the state recommends that districts effectively over budget. So that way because there's a gap in July and August between when the school budget goes through and when property tax revenues start to come in, we can put the district in a bunch.
Just like the town.
Just like the town. So the school holds about 2% of the budget in cash over what is required. It basically is cash clearing.
Yep.
The state caps how much can be in that, and that's when he mentioned that we hit the cap last year of carry forward. So normally what the district does is they take about half to 3/4 of it and they buy down the increase. They carry forward that money. Last year, what we did was, we know we have some major facilities projects coming down the pike and we have aging buildings. We're gonna take a percentage of that buy down and we're gonna divert it, A, into a facilities, but B, into a special ed reserve account. So if a student moves into the district who is exceptionally high needs that the district can't meet, we can divert that fund and basically pull that out. Otherwise, you have to cut from somewhere within the district to make that need. In terms of the budget, the answer is people aren't gonna like it, and it's consolidation. It is, I've advocated it during my 4 years on the school board. I push our 3 school board members in that direction. They need to consolidate the elementary schools. The only way this budget is going to come down in any meaningful way, because a lot of these increases that we're seeing, they're built into contracted negotiations. They are built into with the union, which that is what it is. And yes, during COVID, there was a uptick in the amount of staff, but there was also an uptick in student need. And the board in the last couple of years has moved to rectify that. Last year, they cut 10 positions through attrition. And I would continue to urge them to do that, to look and continue to find efficiencies. And if there's positions that are no longer needed, then by all means, claw that money back. But if you want to get at real meaningful budget reform in the school district, they've got to consolidate the elementary schools.
I've got one question, and we've got our school board member here, one of them who knows a heck of a lot about town business and school board business. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear your thoughts. But I do have one question. Are we different than other districts? Do other districts do it differently?
No, every district does it differently. Some people set up reserve accounts, others don't. This is the very first year, last year, that they set up reserve accounts, which is appropriate for certain things. But every district does do it somewhat differently. Every district is facing the same issues of coming, some of them are flatlining, but some are coming in under budget and trying to figure out what to do with that money. And the old argument that Tyler just mentioned, that you've got to have some extra reserve, wait till your property taxes come in. I went to Mandy a couple of years ago and asked her, how much you have in that account from the end of August, right, or September when things are starting. They always have $3 million. They only need 1.2. They always have plenty there, no matter what happens to this unassigned balance, because they built it in many years ago. Everything is very well managed, with the exception of this one issue. And they're not giving us back the money that I believe we need right now for at least this year. And they're going to want to keep pumping it into that construction account. And I agree with Tyler. I think there has to be a reevaluation of the elementary schools, which plays into what you were talking about with the fire station earlier. That the whole thing fits together. To develop a fire station town office, along with taking back the elementary school for whatever, all up in that area. When they move the elementary out back to the centralized location, it makes perfect sense once you see the dollars and cents, but this year, that 545 is above and beyond everything. This coming year, you could put more money into those two reserve accounts. And you could still take another 500,000, because that 500,000 right there from last year is after they took the money out from the reserve accounts. After they took out the 700, it's the 1,000 to give us back something, you know, that's what's left over.
Yeah, no, I know it's just starting the budget season, so are y'all talking about this sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we never stop talking about the budget, to be frank with you. And consolidation is probably gonna be, it's on our plate already and it's fast approaching. And a lot of the community, I say community, not necessarily Mount Vernon, but actually partnering towns don't like consolidation. They don't even like the thought. So the problem we're running into is people won't go for consolidation. So we're trying to meet in the middle somewhere. Like the pre-K. I'm not sure if you guys have all heard, but we have 3 students currently in our pre-K program at Mount Vernon. So we have a pre-K teacher that works full time that is here in Mount Vernon in the morning with 3 students, and then goes to Manchester for PM class. So the district just adopted a pre-K consolidation, which basically pulls the pre-K kids from Mount Vernon and the pre-K kids from Wayne, which Wayne pre-K kids have already been pulled, to go to Manchester and Reedfield that have classes. And that's to make bigger class sizes to cut down on the teachers' travel time and the stress of all the travel or whatever. Really, the next step with that would be looking down having a full day of pre-K, now that we don't have a teacher travel.
Okay, I want to kind of interject here because this is normally a 3-minute opportunity for comments, and we've certainly gone well beyond that. I think it's an important subject, and I'm not sure if there's a better way to have a more complete discussion.
I've asked the budget rep from Mount Vernon, Leslie Marco, to come once they have a finalized budget to come like I did last year. And kind of go over the budget. So that way there we can get feedback. I'm gonna highly encourage the board to invite us to go to one of their meetings like they used to do. And I think let me preface by saying I'm just all in favor of this district creating the budget committee. I wrote my master's thesis on why the district needed that budget committee. But I think by creating it, they still need to come back to the town, to us, to Reedfield Select Board, to Manchester Select Board, and Wayne Select Board, and present the budget to them. So that way they're, we can advocate as well for the students.
I'm gonna be real quick. It's been years since I've been in the district that we've invited the select boards from all towns to come to one meeting, at the budget meeting in the school, which really is ineffective because one meeting doesn't give you a whole lot of information. So I would encourage you to really start getting involved in the school budget committee meetings. And I think we talk about what makes our tax bill so high. It's the school budget, because it's over 50% of our budget, of our taxes. So I think it's time they really heard, because they've really never heard clearly from the towns, what the towns are thinking and what the towns are facing. Because it's been a one-time little thing, and the select board just kind of sit there and go, yeah, and they leave, and that's the end of it. And the school continues to do what they want to do. It is so important for them to hear on a regular basis.
When I came in,
Facing.
when I came into the budget presentation last year, it was an awakening for me. And I had a very lengthy conversation with the previous superintendent after that. There's a problem. Mount Vernon only approved the budget by 56% last year. All the other towns were well north of 70, almost 80. So, and I've communicated that to Noah, I've communicated it to Leslie and I had communicated it to the previous superintendent. I haven't had a chance to talk to the new superintendent. But, there is there is pain here, and I don't have a good answer other than consolidation, frankly. Because you can go through and you can nickel and dime that budget. And I've advocated for them to go line by line and look and see, do we need to spend money here? Do we need to spend money there? But it's a structural problem of you have 4 old elementary schools in 4 different locations, and 2 of them have under 100 students. One of them barely has 120, and the largest, Reedfield, has 170, I think, in the last report. The middle school is at 305. The high school's at close to 400. Probably close to 350. 350, 400. There is a way to
So-
map that.
Is there another meeting that we should schedule to have further discussion about this?
Also, I just say one more thing about the budget. I'm glad that we're talking about the RSU budget now. Because the problem is that nobody says anything to the school board or school board members or the budget committee until the very end. And then it's too late.
And I think that's part of the reason Tyler wanted to talk
And
about.
like last year, I was there when Tyler came to you guys and nobody said a word. That's
It's a bit of a slippery slope. I don't quite understand what we're to do. I mean, we want our taxes in this town to be as low as possible. But are we gonna advocate for cutting positions, to boosting up class sizes, to capping cost of living increases? I would not. Some people might, that's fair. I would not. So I don't know where the town sort of, again, we want lower taxes, but exactly at what cost, we might not all agree on.
So
So it's tricky.
But I think that we need to have another forum to talk about this in more detail with the public invited to
Yes,
participate
that's what I'm
more.
just
Yeah, that would be
gonna
good.
suggest too. If you could have this open public hearing, bring in
Yeah.
our school board members here and allow them early on to have that discussion to give you some of that feedback. Because I can tell you right now where you could take $750,000 above and beyond what I'm talking about here. So yeah, I'd love to have that opportunity to have a public forum to express my concerns and potential cuts early.
Like you talked about the 1%. You talked about the 1% earning.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not acceptable.
Oh, no, it isn't. Terribly unacceptable. And only $300,000 of 2.5 million. Now, you can't invest all of it. I understand that, but still.
You can put it in a higher paying money market account or something.
Absolutely.
I should go talk to the superintendent.
Okay,
Thank you very much for taking the time for me. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. Dana, do you have something?
I wasn't the last meeting, but what's going on with the bridge?
The bridge.
And this road closure is supposed to. be
The
done
road is
already?
closed
No, but
and
I mean, the other roads that you go to close out. When do those get closed out?
for the.
Lee hasn't
winter-
closed, yeah, Lee hasn't closed the road yet. The bridge is closed because he's bringing the equipment. in.
Yeah, there's
We don't know-
equipment there.
We don't know when he's gonna actually start. Probably won't be until first of the year. He's got his,
I'll
Excavator
reach
there.
out to him.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Well, it just seems like every month pushes for another.
No, I don't want to be, no, that's not the agreement that we had. It was supposed to be that he's starting in December. And if there isn't anything started, that'll be
No.
disappointing.
Well, next week is Christmas week, the week after. that,
Yep,
New Year's
yep.
week. What's that week?
You're absolutely right, Dana.
I understand that.
It's been a long.
I just seen it, and then since October, it's always got pushed to another month.
Yeah.
Or I'm talking another year.
Okay, are there any other items that people want to bring up?
I mean, you guys had already talked about fire station. I was just gonna recommend, if you didn't already, to have a building committee. Look at all the town buildings and kind of, I mean, it goes along, I guess, with the capital I mean, not to drag the meeting on too long, but what I wanted to get at during that section was that we really need a capital asset plan. And it's both for roads, but especially the buildings, to go in like the school just did and say, I mean, the firefighters can give you a laundry list out of the fire station because we're in it all the time. You know, it's an old building, so there's gonna be old building problems with it. But I think really looking at, what is our buildings doing now? What do we want them to do? And what does it cost to bring our existing infrastructure up? And then comparing that to what is that lump sum cost of a new building? Because on the fire department side, I think all roads lead to a new fire station, but this building, the town office, and I'll leave the library separate because we just spent a lot of money on that building. You know, what does that cost look like?
We talked about,
And-
we
and-
talked about a
and we-
complex.
Yeah, and we need to be keeping our eyes out for grant opportunities because that can change the cost equation quite dramatically.
Right,
I would just ask as the fire chief that as you get closer to acquiring, information and funding for that type of thing. us closely
Absolutely,
involved,
yeah.
One of the things that I would like to have guidance from, at least in the interim, is as we start to have deterioration in the building, what you would like us to continue to maintain. It won't be much longer before we need a fire extinguisher. That's getting pretty tired of that.
what is how much longer? Months?
I would say that you've got at most probably 2 years tops that you should have.
And
So, and that's an expense that I certainly don't foresee that you're gonna have a fire station by then. But that's certainly gonna be an extreme cost. It's not cheap to build that type of infrastructure. The side of Station 52, I disagree with the engineer on his assessment as far as whether that's structural or not. I'm a mechanical manager by trade, but generally speaking, when I work with structural engineers, they elongate the side of the building, it's usually structural. That's where the damage is. 52, if you were to look at the side of that building, the block foundation is buckled in. All this crack. One of these days with the snow load, am I gonna come down and find 52 underneath the roof? So I disagree with the engineer's assessment. I'm an engineer with an engineer's stance, but those are concerns that I have. And I've mentioned them to the select board in the past. I'm just mentioning them now so that as I come to you, I'm gonna want guidance on where we move without wasting. So we're not putting money into something that we're gonna get rid of.
Yeah, Jason, there was a recommendation that we do an audit of each of these buildings up front and have that documented to the best of our ability. That would be something that I expect you to participate in.
Yeah, no, I just, again, that's a concern that I have as the, watching the building. I don't think we can wait, unfortunately, on some
Right.
repairs for
Right.
the fire station. to be built.
Right.
Maybe it improves it so that you can, if we do get to that point, you can sell the building and get at least market value for it. That's an option. I don't know. Those are questions for you guys.
Okay.
College meetings, so you're meeting with the college representative, right? Senator Collins representative is coming on Tuesday, yeah.
Right,
To see about getting grants.
and of course, we want to build a bigger complex out on the North Road to include fire station and town office together.
Mhm.
So be thinking of designs and whatnot, because I guess we're pushing forward. We've got to start talking about it.
Well, we're pushing forward to the extent that we're
That we can.
investigating.
right, I mean,
Right.
I think either way, I mean, whatever happens with Collins, I think it's gonna be let that process play out and then come back to the town and say.
Yeah.
That if that's the direction we need to go in, this is what it's gonna cost to bring stations 1 and 2 up to code. This is what it costs to build a new building. Here's the life expectancy of a new building. Here's the life expectancy of repairs on new on the
Yeah,
two
that's the
stations.
audit, that's what the audit. is.
I think the question Jason's asking is, how long is this gonna take?
Right.
Because the two things he mentioned ain't gonna go away.
That's right, that's right.
Well, part of what we're trying to do here is bring some focus on this so that we actually start looking into what funds are available, what options are available, just to get the conversation going beyond, okay, we gotta repair this, we gotta repair that. My understanding is new fire stations require a drive-through now, so that's not gonna be solved there.
Not driving through that building.
Yeah.
No.
There's quite a few requirements with a new facility that we go into. And I'm sure an architectural engineer will be able to.
If you go on, and I can, Noah texted me and I can forward it around. Belgrade did a really good presentation on their station.
Those are
Kind of
the
like,
things we need to do.
and it's a good template of analyzing their existing facilities and kind of why they went the direction of a new station.
Okay, are there any other comments? If not, we have a motion to close. Well, we're moving into an executive session, so.
Agenda in front of me, I can't make the motion. I move to enter executive session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to 1 MSRA, section 405, subsection 6, subsection A.
Second it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard us talking about that? Not a presentation.
Why not?
We're gonna invite a state person.
How you stay?
It's more about saving
It's not a
strategy. Long term for the health. Yeah. You're better off waiting next year, ripping the whole thing up. That sort of. We're concerned that we're just kind of.
Woman that I was.
I know five.
Fire superintendent.
Spreadsheet of all the roads.
I backed the truck in and told Andrew, yeah, I'm going to the select board meeting. Can you plug it in? Can you plug it in and turn the headlights on? Well,
Through all the roads.
I know you both can.
Allocated tracks or pictures with that.
I just stood outside for an hour and a half.
Fantastic. I just don't know how to bring it out.
Take a picture of that from us.
Did I sign everything?
Okay, well, I went on to Dr. Brock
Check file out.
and had
Well, I
Dr.
was
Brock.
going to sign the waivers, and I pulled over for somebody.
Less than
Yeah,
10
that was
minutes.
Andrew.
Who?
Yeah.
Andrew, yeah, you call.
Oh, I
You
did.
call.
I pulled, I could see it, and I thought, oh, that's going to the fire station. Nope, came right up the hill, so I pulled over in the hill to let it go by.
You don't want to see the diesel invoices.
Well, my map has.
We're like $400
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Nope.
You
That's all about.
jump on some of the stuff.
I came back from the structure fire Tuesday night on
Because then you can then go to that next.
But I just moved 100,000 around.
But yeah, diesel.
But I filled it
That
today, 'cause I
road
wasn't
that
doing
was
it,
just done, you can't forget about
even though I had.
it. You know, you
Right,
can't
yes,
say,
sir.
well, we're not gonna do anything to it.
Right, exactly.
That was bad.
Well, anyways, okay.
Thanks, John. Thanks for to come back and.
Yeah.
My
More
energy
town
was
trouble,
You know,
We were in
the problem is,
valve,
this guy
broke,
doesn't-
and then somebody
the rest of
slammed
us
it,
are younger
snapped
than
that.
him, are gonna feel
I
guilty.
know, that's true.
Rayfield
It's
just
not going
froze his
anywhere.
out. Fayette
I'm not
froze
feeling
his out.
guilty.
I wanna know what they're making.
And
us
then
interest.
Saturday,
Money.
we put Took 53 hours.
Well,
Cab heater went,
Andy
front
asked,
wheel off.
after that question, he's supposed to get back to
Or
me, so
Ron
I'll find out
stashing
too.
it.
But yes,
1%,
Some restrictions, so they should be able to get 3.5.
That's what we were making here, 1% on our 5 million bucks.
yeah, right,
I
that
got
was
it up
right. You
four.
got it up, yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I know you got
Passenger-
the thing.
Camera had clogged up on it, drives back to the call, and his passenger mirror had rotated in, so he only had his driver's side mirror. And it was just struggling. Yeah. So that checks.
With Wendy, so, I started the policy. See, I didn't even know what.
All the other stuff that they can.
Go hit the switch over there.
Turns the video off before I'm worried about it.
And me.